Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of October 28th, moving us into a new month. And we have a lot of astrological aspects taking place this week and kind of feel like, we're in the midst of a lot of this watery, emotional, tidal wave type of energy with a big grand trine in the water signs. And this is taking place at around 25 degrees of the water signs. So if you have planets points at anywhere around 25 degrees of Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, you're definitely going to be feeling this water trine. And the trines are supportive. They are going to make things, just help things to take place in a quick fashion, in an orderly fashion. When things need to happen, it's just easy for them to fall into place when there's a trine here. And in the water signs, what we're mostly concerned about is our emotional state, the way that we feel, and about working within our environment and remaining in a state of flexibility with movement and being able to feel into things. The water signs are very intuitive and are going to be sort of reading the cues that others don't read, feeling the emotional undercurrents and the waves of the moods that are coming through. And it's a very intuitive and tied into source type of energy. And also we have the Mercury moving through the retrograde shadow now, and Mercury is in a water sign here, actually been involved in this water trine. So our mind is tied in with Mercury, our thoughts, our ideas, been in Scorpio. We've been thinking very deeply about things. Scorpio wants to really scrape through the depths of the understanding and really talk about things and move things through the emotional state. And Scorpio can also bring up some of our shadows. It's a very shadowy type of energy. So Mercury in Scorpio is, talking about things that we don't necessarily love to talk about, that we kind of try and hide a little more often, but it's a great time to bring these things up. And Mercury is about to leave Scorpio, but is going to be returning because of this retrograde that it's going to be going through over the next several weeks. So this is the shadow phase where we get the first pass through, and Mercury is going to be returning to Scorpio here in a matter of weeks, and we'll be returning to the same themes that we have been going through, that we are going through right now, and going to be returning to make this grand water trine again. And also Jupiter is in a trine with Saturn right now. And this kind of crept up on me. I was going to talk about it last week. There's just a lot of astrology every week. I wanted to wait till it was a little more perfected. And this is about the closest that it's going to get to Jupiter being in a trine with Saturn. This is important because Saturn and Jupiter go through a 20-year cycle. So we keep track of this. And we also have Jupiter, Saturn, been going to be moving back into a square. And so from a trine, we get this harmonious, easy flowing sort of activity. And Jupiter and Saturn represent the new and the old. Jupiter is like going to want to be bringing in the newness and new energy, and then Saturn is going to want to be sort of laying into the old laurels and the traditional ways of doing things. So when these two have interplay like this, it's really good because we do see a lot of sort of understanding, between where we've come from, Saturn, and where we are trying to go, Jupiter. And we'll also talk about, when it moves back into that square, that will be later on in the year, if not the first of the year of 2026. So that really leads us into the week, and the moon is in the moon is in Capricorn on the 28th of October as we enter the week, and has a ton of activity. Tuesday is just a busy day, lunar day, when the moon goes through a lot of aspects during the day. You just know that it's going to be busy because the moon is like our daily activity and how we're feeling and the general mood in which we're kind of moving around through the day. And then later in the day, the moon moves into Aquarius. So a change of the mood throughout the day on Tuesday. By the later part of the day, we get a more independent vibe. We get the freedom and the revolutionary sort of feelings that Aquarius wants. Aquarius is the sign of the people. And when the moon is here, we tend to want to be in groups and have a little more social activity. The air signs, and also air signs and Aquarius are all about change. So we could feel like we kind of just want to do something new and different on Tuesday night. And then on the 29th, Wednesday, this is a big Mercury day. Mercury is going to be making the move from Scorpio to Sagittarius this day. So this is another change of the mood. It's going to change the way that we think, rather, since Mercury is our mind and our ideas and our cognitive function. So we start thinking in a new and different way when Mercury moves into a new sign. And Sagittarius is more of an adventurer. It's a fire sign, so it's very energetic. And Sagittarius is known for the wisdom and also the just creating like a vision, like seeing things more like backing up and looking at things from a visionary aspect, making sure that we do have a vision is really important. And so Mercury is going to be stimulating our bigger, grander, wiser, visionary thinking. And then moves into Sagittarius, and any time that a planet moves into, or the moon or any luminary moves into a new sign right now, comes into play with the planets that are at the first degrees of the signs. And Neptune has, like I mentioned, just recently moved back into Pisces, really, really stimulating more of these Pisces themes. And Neptune is bringing on a lot of strong, watery vibes. I really do feel like this is intensifying a lot of the storms, and we're going to be seeing a lot of just emotion and a lot of tears and a lot of these Pisces things that are going to be finishing up, since Neptune is just going to be finishing up this work into Pisces. It's just going to be so strong. But Mercury makes a trine to this Neptune. It's going to be like a big emotional flow. We're going to be feeling a lot of currents of Neptunian and Pisces. And then it moves into the opposition with Uranus. And the opposition is always a culmination point. It's a decision-making point. The culmination point is always a time where we see things come to its biggest fruition. This is the furthest that it can possibly go in the astrological wheel, and then it starts to move into the waning part of its cycle. But the culmination, it's like kind of like the full moon point. So you see, bigger expressions and And there could be a very expressive sort of, as the opening song today mentioned, some lightning crashing, since Uranus is absolutely representative of lightning strikes and the nervous system and just things happening in a flash, surprising, awakening the situation and awakening our minds and awakening the way that we're thinking, since it's in that opposition with Mercury. Mars in a trine with Saturn this day. This is another aspect that makes Wednesday just a little more loaded. When Mars and Saturn are together, see, Mars is like the teenage son, the inferior male, and then the Saturn is like the father figure, the superior male in the home. So, Mars, Saturn, they always have a little bit of tension, a little friction, that teenager's like, I want this, I'm going to do this and this and that. And the father figure is like, yes, but I need to know where you're going to be, how long, the phone number, where I can get you at, and the time you're going to return. There's just a lot of fathering that takes place within the masculine. And this is good. This is good for Mars. Saturn is good for Mars. It helps to take this really instinctual, flying off the cuff type of energy that Mars is, shoot first, ask questions later. And it adds a little bit of, it adds more boundaries. It adds a rule structure. That's what Saturn wants to do. It kind of just wants to say no a little more often. Let's just bring this in. Let's bring a little more responsibility. Let's be a little more rational about this, a little more realistic, and try and always make sure that everything comes out strong and puts things in its rightful place. So then on the 30th of October, this Mercury that has just moved into Sagittarius is going to also be sextiling Pluto. And Pluto is in Aquarius. It's in the sign of the people. It's doing this work within the social structure of society. And Pluto always works on these grander themes. We see transformation when Pluto comes in. So a sextile is a smooth, easy flowing aspect. And this Mercury is our mind is going to be coming into new thinking, new thoughts, creating these bigger, wiser visions, and is going to have a very, very transformative moment within the thinking on that day, the 30th on Thursday. And the moon moves into Pisces on Halloween, on Samhain. Blessings to your celebrations. And the moon in Pisces is very emotional. There's already a lot going on in Pisces with Neptune there and Saturn. Also, the North Node in Pisces, bringing in more of these Piscean themes. Well, the moon comes in and we're very intuitive with the moon in Pisces. We're emotional. We're empathetic. We have so much empathy within the sign of Pisces right now. And so that's what I was saying about feeling the undercurrents. You walk into a room and you're just like, wow, I can just feel everybody's energy right now. It's going to be even more heightened when the moon is moving through Pisces on the 31st of October and the 1st of November. And then on November 1st, we come into a new month with another culmination point. It's another decision-making moment with an opposition between Venus, the planet of our heart and of our love and of money and trust and value systems and all the pleasurable, beautiful things in life, opposing Chiron. Chiron, the wounded healer. This is where we hold a lot of our wounds, our immortal wounds, the wounds that we were born into this life with, that we battle our whole lives to get to a point where we can master it and then help others reach their mastering points with the same wound. So Chiron is the wounded healer because they experienced the wound first. became, they transformed it, they alchemized it, became the master of that, and is now the teacher. So, yes, something is going to get a massive upgrade within our heart, within our value systems, within the way that we are working on healing some of the wounds in the Venus line of themes. The moon moves into Aries on November 2nd, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's like a breath of fresh air. We move away from Pisces, all of that emotional, empathetic, but it's definitely the most connected, Pisces, to source energy. So do your visionary thinking. You know, if you're looking to work with these larger visions and this Mercury in Sagittarius and start working through this Mercury retrograde, I recommend definitely tapping into the source energy that's available during that Pisces moon, and then boom, we get new energy on the 2nd. It's going to be starting a new cycle, and this is where we become more bold, more brilliant in a fire sign. We become more of a leader in groups, but definitely just a leader in our own life. You know, we're not afraid to kind of take the first steps on things come Sunday, this weekend. And then on the 3rd of November, we have Venus, who has just, been through this little healing portal on the opposition with Chiron over the weekend in conjunct with Saturn. This is a little uncomfortable. It's an adjustment type of energy. So we could have had some really big healing moment, and then come Monday, the reality of it kind of sets in, and Saturn brings in the reality, unfortunately, and also brings in the karma around things. So there could be some kind of karmic thing that kind of catches up within this Venus theme that we're working through, and we're just making adjustments to it. Not much we can do about it. We're just seeing that it's a little uncomfortable and that there's a reality check going on and making adjustments to that. That's all we can do with an in conjunct. This same day, the 3rd of November, Mars is in a trine with Neptune. See, it's a personal kind of week. We're going to be seeing a lot of things happening in our lives when we have Mercury, Venus, Mars in the news. It's just like they're all the personal planets making movements. We're going to be just feeling, doing, seeing, thinking a lot this week. And this is kind of like a point where we get to on Monday where our physical body is ready to work for the dreams and the hopes that we have within us. See, Neptune is going back to Pisces. It still has work to do here. And like I said, Pisces is the most connected to source energy. So if you're looking for intuitive blasts, if you're looking for your for your meditation to produce a super message for you from source energy, this is the time to do it, to tap into cosmic intelligence, ask for the knowledge and wisdom from the ancestors, the elders, to be coming through over this powerful weekend with Halloween and Samhain, when the veils are thinned between worlds. I just think that it's a time to really tap into the intuition and the unconditional love that we have in the energy and the wisdom that's available to us any and time that we need it. So thank you so much for being tuned in to the Cosmic Community Astrology with the Galactic Ambassador, Stacey Dredd. Really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a great week, and I will be talking to you again soon. Take care. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.